Hello, this is Dawn Schuler, and we are just getting started. Thank you for being here with me this evening. And for those of you who aren't quite as familiar with me, I'm Dawn Schuler, founder of the Schuler Group, Smart Business from Your Soul, the Creating Content Club, and many iterations of my businesses over the years. So I'd like to thank you for coming and showing up for this the newest venture in my lineup to help you increase your income and your sales up to 300%. It's specifically designed for people in business. And because I know most of you in the Creating Content Club are business owners, are entrepreneurs, I also know that sometimes closing sales can be one of the hardest things that we can do. And so, this system that I'm going to share with you tonight is going to make it easier. It's going to make it a no brainer. And it's going to make it so that you can connect with your people more easily. You can help them, and you can help yourself with increasing your revenues. So, how's that sound? You want to increase your revenues by up to 300%? Well, all right, well, let's get going. All right, so as I said, I'm the founder and CEO of the Schuler Group, and I created the Schuler Group because I needed a larger umbrella to house all the many things that me, my husband Mark, and our future consultants and employees will be able to do. I've owned a successful business, whatever the iterations are, for over 15 years. I call myself the Soulful Business Coach, supporting business owners and entrepreneurs from the inside out. And I'm a professional author, speaker, and trainer. All right, so what we're going to talk about tonight is B.A.N.K, and it was designed to help you increase your sales up to 300%. So stop and imagine just for one moment what your life would look like if you were able to increase your income, your revenue, up to 300%. So if that's possible, I want you to think about what might get in the way of making that happen. So, Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad and Cash Flow, and I believe probably other books, said that the ability to sell is the number one skill in business. It's not the number two or the number three skill, it's the number one skill. And whether you are a heart centered, passion based entrepreneur, business owner, you really have to embrace this philosophy so that you can be successful in business. Because if you're making no revenue, your business isn't doing well. If you're making no revenue and your business isn't doing well, you're not doing the work that you're meant to do. And sales, if you don't think of yourself as a salesperson, think about the fact that you might have to convince your child to be home at a certain time for curfew. You might have to convince your partner to help out in the home a bit more. And you might have to convert prospects into customers. All those require sales ability. So, what I'm going to talk to you about today is sales from a business perspective and increasing your revenue. So, according to Salesforce.com and Altify, 67% of sales professionals miss quota. And if you are a small business owner, an entrepreneur, you are also the salesperson. So, are you missing 67% of your sales quota? 87% of people who call themselves sales professionals or who do sales do not feel adequately prepared for their presentations or their sales calls. So, if you can imagine, practically 9 out of 10 people are going into sales presentations and they don't feel prepared. And so that results, of course, in 60% of customers feel 66% of customers feel turned off by the presentations delivered by other salespeople. So when you look at these numbers, they can absolutely be the death of your business, your income, and the reason why you're frustrated with the whole concept of selling in general. So, what I want to share with you is that there is absolutely a cure to this. So there's a myth about sales, and it's that we've been told that sales is a numbers game, that in order to get more yeses, you just have to collect more no's. And I know you know that, or you've heard that. I know I've heard that. So, really, the secret, the myth is that really, to get more yeses, you need to get more yeses. I mean, it's this kind of no brainer, right? You want more people to say yes, so you've got to get more people to say yes. And it's not just you got to get more people to say no first. No, you can get them to say yes. So imagine that the secret is that it's not a numbers game, it's actually a people game. So there's a saying that if you want ordinary results, study sales training. If you want extraordinary results, study people training. And if you're familiar with Brian Tracy, what he says is all business is a people business. And you, more than likely, because you're that heart centered, passion centered entrepreneur, business owner, that's your what you're doing in the world is you're connecting with people, you're wanting to make a difference, it's all about people. Well, your business is about people too, even the sales side. So what I'm going to introduce to you tonight is B.A.N.K, which is a personality based, people focused, profit driven idea. And it's actually more than an idea. It's a system that was developed over 20 years by Sherry Tree, the founder of B.A.N.K, to really help delve into personalities. I'm going to say a little bit more in just a few minutes about where that whole idea comes from. What I really want is to empower you to be as successful and financially profitable so that you can go out there and make the difference that you really want to make. All right, so I mentioned Sherry Tree. She's the founder of B.A.N.K System. She founded B.A.N.K over 20 years ago. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information about how she took her income from really paltry sales figures to amazing sales figures. And she's been on stages with Robert Kiyosaki, Sir Richard Branson. Um, Les Brown has endorsed B.A.N.K. She's really playing with the big boys and girls. She's a big girl herself, and she developed this amazing system. So, before B.A.N.K, she started out as a sales professional, and her 1 year of income was $700. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not going to pay my rent. That's not going to pay my probably not even my food bill, electric bill, any of that. So 700 is probably not very good. So she knew it wasn't good, so she took lots of sales trainings. She actually brought on a lot of credit card debt to be able to improve her sales skills, and they did improve up to 72,000. So in 5 years, she went from $700 to 72,000. Not bad, um, but that was not the results she really wanted. So she spent a lot of time reverse engineering some of the training she had done. And what happened is that after B.A.N.K, after she created B.A.N.K, she went to $500,000 in a year and then went up to over $1 million in 3 years. So you can see that is a pretty significant increase in income. So, where all of this comes from is the idea that we'll take all of this training, take all of these personality assessments, because that's what B.A.N.K is based on, and can we reverse engineer it? Can we make it easier? Can we make it more simple? And if you think about the Einstein quote, any fool can complicate things, it takes a genius to simplify them. Well, that's exactly what Sherry did. So here's the science. It is based on, well, let me tell you first. So B stands for blueprint, A for action, N for nurture, K for knowledge. And this is all based from Hippocrates' four temperaments. Basically, what he did is he said, it seems like there's four different types of people in the world. And if there are four different types of people, I wonder if they can be treated differently for medical issues. So he put that into practice and found yes, these four different types of people all need to be treated differently medically. So when Sherry looked at that, she said, well, if four different people respond different ways to medical issues, could the same be said for buying behavior? And that's exactly what she did is she said, let's reverse engineer this, let's break it down and figure it out. So you've probably taken several personality assessments. I know I have, and I have some of my favorites. Along with B.A.N.K, there are several that have given me valuable information. And today, millions of people have taken some form of a personality assessment. So when Sherry looked at these, she was fascinated by them. She took a lot of them because it was enjoyable to learn so much about herself. And her fascination quickly turned into frustration when she saw, well, none of them helped her improve her sales. They just told her about her. So, what she started to do was, is there a way to figure out what type of person that person on the other side of the table was? Could she turn it around so that she could assess who they were, what their personality type was? So she went looking for some kind of personality based sales training that would teach her how to alter her own sales process based on the personality of the customer in front of her. And it didn't exist. So she invented her own. And so B.A.N.K is the missing link of biology, and that's BYOLOGY, the science of buying. So it's the concept that taking these four personality types in a way to specifically categorize people according to how they decide to buy. And it's not about you, it's about the customer. And in all the work I do with you and content creation, I always say when you're writing, it's not about you, it's about your audience. This is the same thing. Sales is about your audience. All right. So, thinking about that it's all about your audience, Tony Robbins said, let your prospect determine your presentation. So, if that's really the case, and if there are four different personality types, wouldn't it make sense to have four different presentations to pick from whenever you're meeting with a prospect? If that's the case, how many presentations are you using? For most of us, and I'm guilty of this too, or I have been until now, that we usually just have one presentation. And so, what that means is you're probably missing out on 75% of people who aren't responding to your one presentation. Because the most common mistake that people make is that they lead with the script that appeals to their personality type and not necessarily to the person sitting across from you. So if you're communicating, and that's all about content, negotiating or closing deals with only one approach, one way of being, then only one out of those four personality types will be receptive. And that means you only have a 1 in 4 chance of closing the deal. So that means by communicating only in a way that appeals to your dominant personality type, you're missing out on the other 3 out of 4, the other 75%. And another way to look at this, which is really disheartening, is if you're missing out on 75% of potential business, that means you're feeding your competition 3 out of 4 times, because if they're not buying from you, they're buying from somebody. All right, so let's talk about B.A.N.K so that I can give you a peek into these four different personality types and what that means as far as your presentation, how you communicate, how you write your content to each of those. So I'm going to talk about each of the four personality types. In the Creating Content Club, you want the tool that goes along with this is called Powerful Words to Reach Your Audience Worksheet. And if you don't already have that in front of you, then press pause, go get it, download it, print it out. And as I'm going through the four personality types, what I want you to do is jot down notes that you have where you're thinking about words or phrases or characteristics or any other words that connect what you offer, your service, your product, to the different personality types. And I'll say more about that as we go through because it'll probably make more sense as I talk about each of the four types. All right. And I lost my little feed there. Okay, so here is the system. So we're going to start out with blueprint because again, B.A.N.K stands for blueprint, action, nurture, knowledge. The first code that we are going to talk about is blueprint. So what you want to know about blueprint, and you can probably figure out why the color is blue, is because think architects, think blueprint plans, think um, inside the box. The blueprint is completely predictable. Everything they do must be inside the box. And these are the things that they value. There are 12 values. Each of the four types has 12 values. So they value stability, structure, systems, planning, processes, predictability, responsibility, duty, rules, credentials, titles, and traditions. And I have to tell you right here, one of the things I love about this system is it's really accessible. I'm not telling you words or giving you codes for anything you don't already understand. You understand what these words mean, and you can probably already start thinking about how these values show up either in your life or in people that you know, and you go, oh, that's a blueprint thing. Oh my gosh, that is such a blueprint. Um, and there is deeper, deeper, deeper. If you've seen some of my work, you know that I talk about an inch wide and a mile deep. And so this is the top level of B.A.N.K that I'm giving you. And there is so much deeper that you can go. Um, One of the things that we talk about in the training is how these different codes, how these different types show up. And so one thing that you can look at is a standard greeting. So when it comes to greeting each other, blueprints prefer a formal handshake. So when you meet someone, and of course it's going to vary according to culture and according to the particular situation, but this is the person who that's how they want to greet you. All right, let's move on to action. Action is what we call out of the box. And that color is fiery red because they are all about moving fast, getting things done, up and at 'em. And so if you see the graphic on the right, it shows a little microphone because they like to be on stage. They like to talk. And so we let them, and they talk fast probably. And here's what they value. These are completely different than the blueprint values. So you can see if you follow the same sales process that you did with a blueprint that you do with an action, it's going to be very different. Action values freedom, flexibility, spontaneity, action, opportunity, excitement, attention, stimulation, competition, winning, fun, image. So you can really see you cannot use the same sales tactics, the same communication for such complete opposites. The action types have such a different set of buying triggers that you need to know exactly what to say and do to close them. All right, so let's talk about their greeting. That's going to be a high five or maybe even a fist bump, depending on the uh, the the particular environment. A little different from the blueprint. All right, now let's talk about nurturing. And this is all about love. And the nurturing, they love to recycle the box. I also like to say like to hug the box because, you know, we recycle, but we like to hug a lot too. And you can see the flower over there. So it's this very warm, nurturing, caring way of being. And again, you can see that these people are very different from the blueprints and the actions. They value relationships, authenticity, personal growth, significance, teamwork, involvement, community, charity, ethics, harmony, morality, and contribution. These are some of the nicest people you will ever meet. They'll give you the shirt off their back. And so that color is that warm, friendly yellow. And of course, their greeting is a hug. All right, so the last type that we're going to talk about today is the K, the knowledge type. And again, just like the other three, very, very different. So the things that a knowledge person values: learning, intelligence, logic, self mastery, technology, research and development, science, universal truths, expertise, competence, accuracy, the big picture. It One of the reasons why K is using the green is if you think about technology, green technology, Excel spreadsheets are green. That light bulb is the symbol that we use for K's for the knowledge because they're often the most brightest and innovative people in the room, which is why we say they like to re-engineer the box. So blueprints are inside the box, action is outside the box, nurtures recycle the box, and the K's, the knowledges, they re-engineer, they design the box. All right. So now you're getting an idea of how different all these four types are. And going back to the worksheet that's in your tools area, start thinking about how your product or service, how you can connect the dot of that product and service to these four different types. And start thinking about what language, what words, what you can say that's going to appeal to these four different types. When you go deeper into this system, you not only do it on this level of, oh, the K's value technology or research and development or learning or whatever. You also learn what are their triggers, their buying triggers. What are the top 5 reasons why they're going to buy? And as well, what are the tripwires, the things that are going to make them go, nope, not doing it. This is different for each of these four types. And the more you know about the four different types, the better you're going to be able to close them, let them see that what you have is of value, and close the sale. Oh, and then I forgot to tell you what the greeting is for the K's. It's the Mr. Spock from Star Trek, the the very much detached greeting, or let's just hand you the business card in a networking event, so to speak. So, as you're being introduced to the whole bank system, you may be thinking about what your code is. And I'll show you a way in a little bit how you can actually crack your own code and find out what it is. What I want to share with you now is the idea that it's not just one code. We all have all four codes. And so they're all different. If I always think about my algebra 2 class, or I think it was my statistics. Oh, it was something in statistics. I didn't like the class, but the first part of it I really liked was that what are the possibilities? And so if you have four different possibilities, you've got four possibilities in the first position, and then you pick one, and that means you're left with three possibilities in the second position. You pick one. You're left with two possibilities in the third position. You pick one, and you're left with a fourth, the final one. So that's 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which gives you the 24 bank codes. So if you look at this, it's not just four different codes, there's actually 24 different derivations of these four personality types. We all have some portion of all four. And it's going to vary how high or low we are in all of them. Um, it might not surprise you to know that my first code is an N for nurturing. My second code is a B for blueprint. You know how I love systems and processes. My third code is action because I actually get out there, I do it, I speak, I like being on stage. And my fourth code is a K for knowledge. And that one, I have to be very honest, is really low. You are not going to find me deep in research. I do not have a problem getting lost in the internet because I don't have the patience for it. I don't want to go that deep. I want the top level efficient, that's where my blueprint comes out, what's the most efficient way I can get my information. Um, so I actually see this not just in business, but I see it in my life. My husband Mark and I talk to each other differently, having immersed ourselves in the system. My daughters have embraced it. Uh, my older daughter Catherine has coded all four houses of Hogwarts from the Harry Potter series. It's really amazing how universal this information is and how accessible, and how once you're introduced to it, you just start thinking this way. Oh, and that's where it says there's a 4% chance that you can actually close. It's not just necessarily one out of four, but it's one out of 24 because there are 24 different bank codes. All right, so what if there was a way for you to be able to what we call crack your prospect's code in 90 seconds or less? What if there was a way that you could figure out who that person is on the other side of the table at Starbucks, or who that person is on the other side of the handshake at a networking event, or who that person is on the phone with you? What if you could figure out who that person is? Would that be worth something to you? So, Bank is it's been around for 20 years. Sherry Tree founded it 20 years ago. The company's been around for 7 years, and they keep using and creating technology and state of the art technology to make this more and more accessible. So there's something that's called Bank Pass, which allows anybody who signs up for it to have an online link where they can send their prospects, their people, to code themselves, and then they crack their code. So if you want to take a try at it, just go to mybankcode.com/Schuler, and you can crack your own code. I'm going to leave that up for a second so you can make sure you have that up there. Mybankcode.com/Schuler. And what you'll do is you'll have this little online game where you take those four codes, you put them in the value or in the order that most describes you. And when you hit submit, then you're going to get a report with information on your code. When you're using this as a business owner and you have your own bank pass, then your prospects sign up, they get their results. Awesome. They get to learn more about themselves, don't we all? That's why we all take personality assessments, because we want to know about ourselves, and your prospects will too. So they get the results. Awesome. They get to learn more about themselves, and the results are sent to you. So you get to learn who your prospects are, what their code is. And you get this online dashboard where you can see this pie chart of who are the majority of people who have taken this assessment from your bank pass. Are most of them nurturers? Are most of them action people, blueprints, knowledge? And you can also see who their codes are. So it means you can look them up. If you're going to have a conversation with them, then you can target your conversation according to their code. So bank is perfect for all sorts of industries. Obviously, sales, financial services, real estate, other professionals, online marketing, relationships, speakers and coaches, education and consultants, leadership, corporate. Mark and I are actually talking with a private school near us about using this in the classroom so that the teachers can understand their students better, teach them more effectively, and not get frustrated by what they see as behavior problems, which might just be that the student's code doesn't mesh with the teacher's code or the teacher's style. All of the applications of this are really just amazing. So, Les Brown, world renowned motivational speaker and coach, says B.A.N.K is a game changer for every entrepreneur and sales professional. This system will strengthen your confidence, expand your selling skills, and dramatically increase your income. So, the solution to the problem of not being able to close sales could be B.A.N.K. So we have various training options. We have an amazing online training system. We call it the VT, virtual training. The bank code HQ headquarters spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on the top of the line technology system. It's interactive, even though it's virtual, it's interactive, and it really helps you understand at a deeper level bank code, all the way from understanding the four different codes to be able learning how to speed code to power scripting, which is how you develop your content, your marketing materials, your sales scripts, your communications to each code. Benjamin Franklin said, if you think the cost of education is expensive, try the cost of ignorance. So, again, different levels of virtual training. There's what we call core VT, which is the fundamentals of bank, everything you want to know about each of the four codes. It also comes with your own bank pass subscription, and that's the $29.95 a month. Pro VT is the speed coding where you can actually code somebody without using your bank pass technology. You're so good, you're so immersed in the system. You can talk to somebody, and just after a few sentences, you know what their code is. And then the third level is what we call platinum, which is the power scripting. And that's how you learn to write your content, write your marketing materials to appeal to each code. So each of the levels include the one below it. So with Pro, you get Core and Pro. And with Platinum, you get Core, Pro, and of course, Platinum. So while you're thinking about that, and while you're thinking about whether you want to immerse yourself into bank, I have a special offer for you. You can try out the Bank Code virtual training system, that interactive system, and learn more about bank for just $1. We have a trial that's usually 99, but you put in a special promo code, which will be on the next screen, and you can get it for $1. It gives you 30 days access to a deeper introduction into bank, as well as all the opportunities that you have to explore. So we call this the introduction subscription, and you just go to bankcodevt.com. And when you click on pricing, or if you scroll down after you read all the information, you'll see that there are various things that you can click on. So if you're interested in that trial, you want to click on the intro, that $99 intro, and then promo code, enter in Schuler, Shuler, and then you get that $99 promo for just $1. So I hope that this has been fascinating and informative for you. And at the very least, I hope you've learned something about what you can do in your own business to help you increase your sales up to 300% and take it to the bank. Thank you for your time tonight, and I look forward to answering any questions you have about bank and seeing your business, your sales, and your difference in the world increase. Take care.